Wish I could do that.
Then it's the anticipated premiere of the new series, Dracula. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers stars.
I will have my vengeance.
NBC Fridays are bloody good. It all starts at 9/8 Central with the season premiere of Grimm, followed by the premiere of Dracula. Next Friday on NBC.
For your money this afternoon, let's take a look at how the markets closed today. It's all green arrows. The Dow up 28 points, the Nasdaq up 51, the S&P 500 up 11. Well, it is definitely a good time to be a Google stock holder.
Shares in that company soared above the $1,000 mark today. Investors were responding to Google's latest quarterly report, which blew out investors' expectations. The increase was driven by strength in the company's core search business. Nearly 900,000 Toyotas being recalled in some cases because of spiders. A problem with an air conditioner part could cause airbags to deploy. On top of that, drivers could lose their power steering. Spider webs under the hood, possibly part of the problem. The recall affects 2012 and 2013 Camrys, Venzas, and Avalons, including hybrid versions of those cars. Owners will get a notice in the mail. More homeowners redoing their digs. Remodeling projects up 10% so far this year. Some homeowners are sprucing things up to sell and move. Others just doing it to make their home sweet home a little sweeter.
It is an everyday item around the house that may carry high levels of lead. Oftentimes, it's things parents may not even think about, but it can lead to lead poisoning. Our Vince Vitrano and Susan Kim tell us how big a problem it is for children's safety.
Yes, actually, we only have a regulation from the Consumer Product Safety Commission that is targeted for children's items. So if it's not designed for children specifically, there's a lot more leeway that industry can use. And actually, we had a testing event yesterday at the Racine Public Library and found several children's items, some older, some newer, that contained lead-based hazards in them that were above the current levels.
And so what can people do just in terms of looking around their home, and what kinds of items should they be looking for to protect their family?
The biggest hazard here is not necessarily the toys, it's actually more the dishes. This dish actually poisoned a child here in Wisconsin. The child was fed their breakfast out of this every day, and it leaches. And when we tested it yesterday with the X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, it tested 52,000 parts per million lead. The hazard level for an item intended for a child is 90 parts per million lead, and this was 52,000. And then the hazard level for lead in water is 15 parts per billion. And when they did a leach test and figured out how much lead was leaching from this dish into the child's food, it was 92 parts per million, which was significantly higher than the hazard level.
So do you recommend that families go get things like this tested? Or, I mean, what can they do?
I mean, the first step is to get your children tested. If you have any concerns, whether it's in your house or your dishes, get yourself tested, get your children tested.
Because and that's just a simple blood test, right?
Simple blood test. It can either be a capillary test, which is just a screening test, and then they can do a confirmatory venous test at the doctor's office.
And stay away from antiques if you can. Buy newer dishes that are going to be lead safe. Don't drink out of crystal that might be as much as 30% lead. Especially don't drink alcohol.
People love to go to rummage sales and buy, cute little finds and things like that. Certainly a warning to them.
Yeah, and the big thing is for little girls, don't buy them costume jewelry, because jewelry, if it's not sold as intended for children, isn't regulated, and little girls are always putting their necklace in their mouth.
I can account for that.
Well, next week is National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week. If you'd like more information about lead poisoning, you can watch this entire interview online at TMJ4.com. It is now time for Ask the Expert. It is October and the beginning of the flu season.
The CDC urging Americans to get their flu shots right now. Dr. Jacqueline Paykel with the Medical College of Wisconsin joining us this afternoon, talking about a little bit of a different angle for this, the safety of flu shots during pregnancy. It seems there's a high number of women who don't get these, pregnant women.
Last year, about 50% got it, and so we're really trying to ramp up the number this year of women who actually receive it.
And why is it so important that a woman who is pregnant get the flu shot?
It's very important because their respiratory system is really compromised, and they are much more likely to have severe complications and even die from the flu.
Can it hurt the baby too if you get the flu?
Absolutely, because you have impaired oxygenation, and if the mother dies, of course.
Right. Yeah. That's terminal for the baby as
well.
Can
women receive the shot at any time during their pregnancy?
They can. They can.
There's just you can't get the regular flu shot. There has to be Doesn't it have to be preservative free?
Well, that's the recommendation now, and so those are single shot vials, so you have to use a specific one, but most clinics are carrying those now. You should not get the nasal spray, though.
I was going to ask you, could you just opt for the nasal if you don't like needle?
No.
Why not? What's wrong with the nasal?
Because it's a live virus as opposed to an attenuated virus, and so, yeah, it could be dangerous.
So why are pregnant women shying away from the flu shot?
They're afraid of the preservatives. There was some thought that the thimerosal contains mercury, which is the preservative, and that this can contribute to autism. But the studies really haven't shown that that's true.
So how do you combat this? I mean, you're talking about 50% that you have to bring in. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, lots of advertising, discussing it with all women who are coming in of all ages because they have contact with women who are pregnant, and really talking about it on the news.
More education hopefully helps.
Hopefully we just helped another 25%.
Dr. Pickell, thank you. Got a question for our experts? Email them at asktheexpert@today'stmj4.com. You can also leave a voicemail 9675.